Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for our next installment of Behind the Rainbow. Today, we are being joined by Kim Pessis, who was the president from 2008 to 2010. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today.
You are so welcome. Looking forward to it.
In order to get us ready for this, I wanted to help warm you up with some rapid fire questions. And these are the same questions that I've asked everybody else. So, in some ways, I'm trying to see if we can come up with a consensus for these very important things. First question is coffee or tea?
Coffee.
And what was your first job ever?
Well, actually, my first volunteer job was as a candy striper uh, in the children's ward of a local hospital. Not Rainbow, but another hospital. So that's actually when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, that's so bizarre. But that was my first, like volunteer job. And so I guess it's in my blood. And then probably my first real job was as a babysitter, just locally.
What does being a candy striper at a hospital entail? What does this mean?
Okay, so I don't even know if they have candy stripers anymore, but we literally wore like an apron that was red and white or pink and white striped. That's why they call them candy stripers, I guess. And we just helped out. So I would like read to the kids or help like go fetch things for kids or whatever basically the nurse told me to do. And then I also worked in the this hospital had like a cafeteria with a sort of a soda shop, and so my friend and I worked in the soda shop and made milkshakes. It was great.
Oh, so a candy striper doesn't hand out candy.
No, 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 no.
Okay. This is making a little more sense to me, except the name doesn't, but maybe you guys were striped like candy canes. You like
Yeah,
look like candy.
yeah, I mean, we literally wore these, like, big apron things that were red and white striped. They're very cute, but,
Okay. Well, thank you for that clarification because I was like, I don't even know what that means. Um, what is a book, movie, or show that you always recommend?
But, I mean, I watch, like, whatever my husband decides he's watching. If I'm interested, I walk in the room. But I do like watching 60 Minutes, if I'm in a serious mood, and SNL if I'm not in a serious mood. I don't know why, but one of my favorite books forever, was Little Women.
If you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be?
I think it would be my grandparents, because there's so many questions that I have that I didn't know to ask, until after they were gone and I was much older. So that would be so interesting. I would love that.
So, what is your favorite time of the year and why?
Oh, I think probably fall, just because uh, and I don't mind. I like all of the seasons. I'm not a person who minds winter. Um, but fall is kind of, I don't know. I love it. It just feels like the start to, maybe it's because we were sort of trained that way being in school, the start to a new year academically. And I love the weather. I mean, I thought we had a great fall this year. We don't always, but you know, it was it was beautiful. I love the trees and I love sweater weather.
What is something surprising about you that people may not know?
Maybe that I've hiked on 6 of the 7 continents,
Which one's left?
Antarctica.
Do you have any plans?
Mm, not right now, but,
Okay.
it's kind of on the list.
We're going to go on to the main questions about your presidency. So, we're going to dive into your experience while you were the president of RBCF. But before we do that, I want to know what initially inspired you to get involved with the Rainbow Babies and Children's Foundation.
Honestly, it was at first just about being asked. I mean, it was never anything that I thought about, and I've been a volunteer for various organizations, uh, forever. But I'd never really thought about Rainbow, and, the person who asked me, I, was very honored that she had asked me and was just so intrigued. and my kids were young at the time, and it just felt totally like the right thing to do. And Yeah, I think I just and I think Rainbow was always, for me growing up, it was always the children's hospital in town. And it was just a place where you knew if you needed it, it was there. And so I think I just felt really just so good about being able to get involved.
And how did that path lead to you becoming president?
I think I'm the only one that actually was uh, finished my first term, and then it was right in the middle of the end of my first term was when we decided that we were going to put in term limits. And so I had to go off the board for a year, and then I came back on. And gosh, I think part of it was I'd just been on the board for so long. They're like, yeah, well, we might as well just ask her if she wants to be president. But no, I had I think from the beginning, I started chairing committees. And so, you know, by the time somebody's chaired like all the major committees, I mean, it sort of is the path. And that's kind of, I think, how it happened. And then after chairing a few committees, then I chaired the gala. And so then that was definitely at that point in time, that was a big also stepping stone to becoming president. I don't know that that's the case anymore.
And what was the most memorable project or initiative that you felt like you worked on during your presidency?
For me, there wasn't really one in particular. I think my tenure was more about just sort of building on, what had been done the past couple presidents before me. Um, and it was more, I always thought of it as more like a maintenance kind of thing. We were in a really good place. We had negotiated a new, MOU with the university, I mean, with the hospital. And things were just really in place. And it was up to me to just kind of, keep the momentum going and keep everything kind of just sailing along. And also, I think, at that point, it was a lot about working with, the uh, the professional staff, the lay staff, the leadership at the hospital, and just kind of, keeping all of those lines of communication open. That was another piece that was very important.
Well, what do you feel like was the most challenging part about being president, and how did you navigate that?
I mean, there was always the little bit of negotiating, around the granting and, that kind of thing. But I mean, it was all sort of par for the course. I would say that for me personally, there were two challenging things, and I learned a lot from both of them. One was public speaking. I like really did not like public speaking, and so I had to really work on getting over that. Oh, and the other thing was just time. I had well, they weren't by the time I was president, they weren't so young, but they were still at home. Um, and uh, and I was working, and so it was just a lot of juggling, but you know how that is. So that was challenging, but I mean, I do remember when I took the position or when I was offered the position, I kind of said to everybody, look, it is what it is. I'm not going to be able to, be at the hospital all the time to come to a million meetings. I just, I will pick and choose which ones are important, and you can help me figure that out. But I'm not going to be able to be there all the time because I work in Solon, and at the time I was living in Solon, and the hospital is at University Circle. Um, but we figured it out.
Well, what do you think makes the Rainbow Babies and Children's Foundation unique from other organizations?
I still say, after being on many, many, many boards, that it is the best board I've ever been on, for so many reasons. But I think one thing that makes it different is just the people, the women. Well, first of all, the women, it's just amazing, amazing. And I've made some very, very close friends that I am still very friendly with, and that my husband and I are friendly with as couples. And so that's amazing. Um, but the women are so passionate about the hospital, about the children, about the work that we're doing, and take it very seriously and really feel responsible. And, they're I can't even really remember any outliers. There weren't people that just came on the board to be on the board. It's people come on the board because they want to be involved, they want to be engaged, and everybody brings something different to the table. But it just, everybody is so passionate about what they're doing. And I mean, my husband used to say, "Oh my gosh, you guys take yourself so seriously. What is up?" And I'm like, that's just the way it is. We all just do it and we love it. So that to me has just makes it so unique. I just smile every time I think of, my time on the board.
I love that. How do you stay connected to the organization's mission today?
So I'm one of those dorky people that actually reads, all of the stuff that comes out. So whether it's, our newsletter or the newsletter, the updates from the hospital. I mean, I'm generally interested. So I do purposely try to keep up. Um, and uh and I try to come, to the past presidents, or past trustees, sorry, past trustee events as often as I can because generally, I mean, it's great to see everybody, but also there's usually some kind of a uh, program that talks about something that's going on with the hospital, whether it's new or just an update or just general information. And um, otherwise it's hard to keep up because you're not involved on a, monthly basis. But I try.
How would you describe the impact of the foundation in one sentence?
The impact of the foundation is this group of amazing women who, as I said before, everybody brings something different to the table. So many strengths, so many circles of influence, contacts, smarts, and and they're all working, toward the same purpose and the same goal. And so I think that's how I would answer that.
Kim, thank you so much for the time that you spent with us today and all the insights that you shared. And we love having you as a part of the Rainbow Baby and Children's Foundation.
Thank you.